Hi, good morning. We're out here on our Cinder project and we're getting to a big milestone on the project, which is basically insulation, drywall, and stucco. That phase tends to take 3 to 4 weeks on a house like this to get completed, but it basically means that all your plumbing changes, electrical changes, and all those things have been completed. So I wanted to walk you through some of the things we have here in this garage to show you how we insulated it, why we insulated it, and some of the techniques that we used. So I'll flip the camera around here. So this particular house, the homeowner opted to spray foam the entire walls and ceiling of the garage. It will help here in Arizona's harsh climate in the summer where those attic spaces could reach 130 or 140 degrees. So this building envelope doesn't just stop at the interior space here. It goes all the way around. And what you're seeing here is we've actually installed our 5/8 drywall on one side, which allows us to basically spray our spray foam insulation, 5.5 inches of open cell spray foam on the back side. And it basically, instead of putting our cardboard up or some sort of barrier, the drywall has to go up anyway, so we've selected to put that up at this time. So you can see how that spray foam does come through every crevice and fill everything up and air seals it extremely well. The other point that I'm going to make here is that that's the livable space between the garage and the inside of the house. So that part of the envelope has to be sealed incredibly well. And we go through with an infrared camera and check every room of the house to make sure that there's no voids. And we also had our Energy Star inspection completed. And we did find multiple errors, nothing real drastic, but things that if you're not paying attention or not using infrared camera, you won't catch those things. This room here is a mechanical room inside the garage, and it's got some pump equipment in there. So we've opted to use a product called Acousti-Block to wrap this entire inside and the backside as well. And they basically have us taping and caulking all the seams and joints. And then we've got rock wool on the back side of this, and then underneath as well, we've got that insulation to help buffer the sound. You'll see that as we go inside the house here, but this is the back side of the garage there. On all of our laundry rooms and bathrooms, we use a rock wool sound insulation just to help with sound transmission through the room. So the spray foam does an excellent job of air sealing and providing a little bit better insulation value than a typical batt insulation. And then it carries over into the house here where you see all the exterior walls are all spray foam. We spent a lot of time just caulking. There's a lot of caulking that takes place. You can see on the bottom plate there, we also caulk it on the other side of that spray foam there, inside and out, as well as taping it, which I'll try to get a video or a little clip of that so you can see what we did there. Again, more sound insulation. And then our wood tongue and groove ceiling that's already completely finished. And our beams, you can see we spent a lot of time wrapping those and protecting those during construction. That's one of those things that a lot of times you won't see being done, and then they'll try to clean it at the end of the job, and it just never works out real well. But we've got multiple pieces of beams and things like that that are going to be exposed at the end of the job. So we had some issues up inside this dome vault, if you will, at the front entry, and had to come back and spray some more insulation around there. But honestly, I wouldn't have caught that unless we had an infrared camera, because there's no scaffold up there and you just can't see it from down here. That's about 18 feet up. But we managed to get that all taken care of. And again, more caulking you see on the bottom plate there. We wrap all our jambs and our doors, and they all get a metal sill plate on the bottom. So I'll walk you through some of the other areas of the house here. We've got just amazing views out the back side of this house. Here's another kind of cool ceiling feature that we're doing, basically a wagon wheel. We got a lot of time caulking and insulating all of that and trying to make sure that it's both air sealed, moisture sealed, and then a good insulation value. That insulation is for sound once again. So I'll walk you through some of the other areas here. Get inside here to our, now we're walking on our second floor. We have, this is an elevated framing assembly, which we'll talk about below. We've got Gypcrete, and we use that Keen product for sound deadening, which we shot a video of earlier. We'll link that down below, all to help with deadening the sound from the first to the second floor. Again, more exposed beams in here. You've got the the rock wool in between rooms just for sound deadening, as well as between master bedroom and master bath and water closet and things like that. So a lot of attention to detail on all these things. Kind of an interesting thing that came up down at that inside corner, and then also inside there's a steel beam that runs along here. We had the door downstairs open, and while I was standing up here with the infrared camera, I could feel air coming up through those two areas. And I didn't realize that the door was open downstairs, creating that draft, but ultimately it helped us find something else downstairs that I'll talk about that we didn't see right away visually during our inspection that we ended up catching later. So even though that air that was coming through that was not necessarily a problem, because it was the door downstairs blowing the draft up through the framing, and it wasn't necessarily something we had to fix, but it led us to finding another problem, which I'll explain downstairs here. But again, just a lot of care and special attention to caulking and air sealing everything, making sure that everything is done properly. We also have more beams in this ceiling in here, and sound insulation on all sides of this wall as well. And then up on top of that as well, to make sure that there's no sound transmission between the two rooms. So, and then down below where I'm standing here, this elevated framing assembly, you're gonna see that we've got rock wool in there as well. So we're heading downstairs. Got the elevator shaft on my right here. And this is gonna be kind of a cool feature here. As you walk down these stairs, down at the bottom there, that landing, and the landing that I'm standing on right now is ultimately gonna be glass, and you're gonna see down inside the wine room. So kind of a cool detail that we haven't done one like that before. But as you kind of look around here, you'll notice that in the ceiling, we've got rock wool insulation. Back over in this part here, this is all exterior deck. It's actually patio above there, so that's why we spray foamed all of that. And then we've got some rooms down here that we're just putting some additional insulation in just for sound. And then back there where you see that 6 mil plastic put up, that is for a wine cellar. So that whole room had to be insulated as well as having that plastic for a vapor barrier. So we had to make sure all of that was done. So again, as you walk through here, hopefully the light's okay. These are all sound walls. This is a bathroom here. And as I pan around, you'll see the stairs, and that's the elevator shaft there. But the back side of this is the back side of that wine cellar. So that all had to be insulated with that vapor barrier applied to the front side here, which I'll show you. So that's what all this plastic is for, all the way through this whole area. And then this area up here that you see that's not protected or insulated is because that's going to come out, and that's going to be glass in there. And then all along these walls here is going to be wine barrels going all the way down. We're cutting wine barrels in half and putting those in there. And then this area here is going to be more of a traditional wine racking. So as you go through, just more spray foam insulation. So this door is how I found another problem down below here. This door was open, creating air to blow up through an area up in here that we had actually had some poor insulation, which led me to another spot, which was this corner here. And as you stand back and look at that corner, the initial insulation that was done did not include this right here. And it was just a mistake by the insulators. That is an inside corner on the exterior wall. And the way it was framed, it kind of looked like, maybe insulation didn't need to go there. But, it just led my eyes to that. The problem upstairs led my eyes to looking at this closer, and we ended up finding this problem, and they never insulated this corner. So we ended up calling them back and getting this taken care of. And then also back behind that soffit there, we weren't sure if we had an issue or not. We ran the infrared camera, and we were having a really hard time on both of these areas above that steel beam there and across this soffit. And we ended up having the spray foam guys just build another, whatever that is, 8-10 inches of spray foam to make sure everything was insulated and air sealed. So kind of over the top, but better be safe than sorry. We don't want to be doing any remodeling down the road. And then this is that fire pit area that we've shot some videos on. And so everything is air sealed down here with the spray foam and insulated with the spray foam. Another little detail that you'll notice on our jobs, all these registers and air supplies, we call those cans. We spray paint all those black so that, at the end of the day, when you put your registers on, you're not going to see that silver look inside of them. These can lights, we'll talk a little bit more about these can lights, but these are element can lights. They're basically a trimless can light that takes a little bit more of attention to detail during the drywall phase. They won't actually get a trim ring around it like you would see on a traditional can light. They're all LED. They've got a gimbal inside. Very expensive can lights, but a lot of different options. And at the end of the day, it has the drywall just trims right up to the edge. So we'll show you some more pictures and video of that later. This area here is a bathroom, so that's just sound insulation, and a bedroom. Every part of this elevated framing assembly above us is all insulated with rock wool. And over here we've got just a pipe that's behind there. We ended up using a cast iron pipe versus our typical ABS pipe, and then we've put this Acousti-Block panel over the top of it just to further deaden with sound. So just a lot of little detail things that sometimes get overlooked or sometimes don't get thought of, or they just don't get done because of cost. And that would be something at the end of the day that would be a disappointment to hear water running through the drains or anything like that. I'll put the camera down here and show you a couple other things. I'm going to pull some insulation out and just show you some things that we've done to deaden the sound in this space as well. So if you look up inside there, we've actually got a sound deadening material that we bought from a company called Sound Cow. I'll give you the link down below for that. But basically, when you're looking at all these different materials, your spray foam insulation is not really going to give you any sort of STC ratings or kind of like bad insulation in comparison to a mineral wool like this rock wool here. They just do a much better job of deadening and dampening the sound. I mean, ultimately what you're trying to do is break up that wavelength of sound as it travels from one medium to another, trying to get that crest and that trough to basically create destructive interference and either eliminate the sound or to deaden or dampen it. So you've got to look at everything when you're analyzing a building like this. And as you can see here, we've got multiple insulation just in these areas here that you can see. And we didn't really talk about it, but this wall here is all rigid insulation because it's a retaining wall with just 2x2 furring on it. So, but at any event, you've got to do your homework. You've got to understand the products and make a decision for your homeowner and decide what materials are best. There's a lot of different options out there, and just because we have done it this way, there's different reasons based on sound, based on cost, and based on owner preference and architect preference. So I just wanted to kind of walk through all the different pieces of insulation, and ultimately this job took two different crews. You had a spray foam crew and essentially a batt and rigid insulation crew, but it just gives you an idea that insulation is not as simple as it seems. One other thing too here, you can see that this is basically what you might call a rim joist on the exterior. So we spray foamed all of that and air sealed that prior to putting our mineral wool insulation, our rock wool in there for sound. And that's done around the whole entire perimeter of the basement, just to make sure that we're fully air sealed as well, so that we're building a tighter envelope. And that'll be evident when we do our blower door test. So just wanted to talk to you about a few things from sound and insulation, things that as a builder we should be looking at. You can see all the air sealing that's done here as we're walking up the stairs. Just a lot of attention to detail to all these areas. And some of the areas between a couple of the rooms, we're using a product here called Quiet Rock, which does an excellent job, even in comparison to regular 5/8 drywall that we're using in the remainder of this house to help deaden the sound between the rooms. So just all things that we had discussions with in the beginning of the job with the architect and the homeowner, things that we have to pay attention to during the build and carry it all the way through. So thanks for joining us today. Hope this was informative for you, and stay tuned for our next video. Thank you.